It's almost impossible, if you're obsessed with cast-ons the way I am, not to eventually create one. This cast-on is a knit cast-on, but it was really inspired by a crocheted double chain. I'm not much of a crocheter, but I occasionally like a crocheted double chain, which is identical to the kind of chain you'd create with the lucette, as a binder or as a cord. So let's start with a slip stitch on the needle, and we're going to start by doing a knit cast on, and we're just going to put the needle into the stitch, bring the stitch out, and put it on the needle. We now have 2 stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to knit this stitch and pull it off the needle, and once again come into this stitch and knit a stitch and put it on the needle just as you would for a normal knit cast on. We're going to put this stitch back on the needle. We now actually have 2 cast on stitches and 1 chain stitch. Into the first stitch we're going to knit just as you might normally knit. You could do this right-handed. I knit left-handed, so I'm doing it left-handed. Bring the stitch off. Go into the second stitch on the needle. Create a knit cast on stitch. Ooh, this is a little splitty. There we go. And put both stitches back on the needle. Again, the first stitch is knit, just as you'd normally do, and pulled off. The second stitch is used for the knit cast on. It's put on the needle, and this first stitch is put back on the needle. Again, knit and off, knit. Oops, let's try not splitting it. Let's try that again. Knit and cast on. Knit and off, knit and cast on. Knit and off, knit and oops, not paying attention, knit and cast on. This stitch goes back on the needle, becomes knit and off. This stitch is knit and cast on, knit and off, knit and cast on, knit and off, knit and cast on, back onto the needle, knit and cast off, pulled off, knit and cast on. And I'm going to stop now and show you what you have is a nice chain stitch here along the edge. Where that yarn was a little split, it's a little less attractive. Okay, there it goes. This matches the double chain that cast off that I demonstrated back in June. And it's nice to have a simple to do cast on that matches a cast off. This is a fairly stretchy cast off, a cast up bind cast on. It's very attractive, and obviously if you were doing something like a jacket that you were knitting crosswise, this chain stitch creates a very nice elegant edge, especially if you haven't split the yarn. So that's a cast on that I think I've created. So we're going to call it Helen's double chain cast on, and I call it a double chain because, as you see, there's a chain at the bottom and there's a chain at the side. This is a matching cast on to my double chain bind off. I'm going to create a link so you can find it. Bye bye.